in the Kentucky Derby.
Move around the turns. The leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for 3.
That's what it is in the center of the racetrack. The Adams Sloop drawing alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem is pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, that's Westlake having the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lionheart is all heart. Smarty Jones is all out. And here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle's Slow of 1977.
Kentucky Derby week rolls on. It is 5-0 Tuesday under the Twin Spires of Churchill Downs as we are counting down the days to the first Friday and Saturday in May. Main track is fast. Warm Tuesday morning with temperature in the low 70s. It's time for the Kentucky Derby morning workout show presented by Twin Spires. Let's take a look at the headlines. And Citizen Bull absolutely blitzed his final workout yesterday, 58-2 for 5 furlongs. We will take a look back at one of the expected pace setters. A couple of other Derby horses worked yesterday morning, a little bit different works for Coal Battle and the first and only AE by Aza. We'll take a look at those as well. Japanese hopefuls Luxor Cafe and Admire Daytona expected to stretch their legs in a more significant way with a published breeze here this morning. And as I mentioned, it is 5-0 Tuesday. Live racing resumes under the Twin Spires with a 9-race card at 12:45 Eastern Time. Joe Christovac and Kevin Kilroy joining you for the Kentucky Derby morning workout show. Kevin, and some workouts trickling in off the weekend into the early stages of the week. We saw Citizen Bull blitz yesterday. We got a couple of the Japanese horses expected to breeze this morning. So the action continues on the morning workout show. We got the draws. We're getting closer and closer, my man.
Closer and closer. It's getting exciting as always, Joe. We've got a few runners who will be returning to the track after their big work. So we'll see their energy after they put that final move in. Then we've got the Japanese contingency that I'm growing more and more interested in terms of the running style, in terms of the moves they've made, in terms of what I think they can do against this field. Admire Daytona, Luxor Cafe, let's see what they have for us. I really want to see their energy, less the time in terms of what they do this morning.
Yeah, just the smoothness of motion for the Japanese. That's what we're looking for as we send it up to James Scully. Speaking of smooth, up on the 4th floor. James, good morning, bud.
Good morning, Joe, Kevin. It's my second morning on the work show and up here on the 4th floor balcony. Great view of the entire track. I am excited to get my first look at Sovereignty, Journalism, the other horses that worked on Sunday. There will be a lot of activity during our special Derby and Oaks session. And for more, let's throw to Megan Burgess on the back stretch.
Well, don't let my jacket fool you. It's pretty warm out here on the backside of Churchill Downs, and I'm really excited to be joined by a Hall of Famer here very shortly. And I've been tight-lipped about my selections for the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby. I'll be sharing those with you throughout the show. But as you mentioned, we're going to see those Japanese contenders take their final drills as we get closer and closer to Saturday. But as the action dies down, the handicapping begins, we kind of get closer and closer to the big dance, guys, and it's certainly shaping up to be an exciting one.
Yes, it certainly is, and maybe got even that much more intriguing following the post position draw on Saturday night, Kevin, as we take a look at the field, and it's been the talk of the draw. The speed drawn to the inside, particularly the 2 Baffert, Citizen Bull from the rail, Rodriguez from post 4, Neo Equos, American Promise, Admire Daytona also have early hoof on the inside part of the top 10 of 20 here.
Yeah, I think this outer part of it in terms of Admire Daytona, Luxor Cafe, Journalism, Burnham Square, and Grande, they've got a really nice spot where they're going to be trying to beat each other to that sort of inside, save some ground, tracking spot. So I think they drew very favorably.
East Avenue's got speed. He drew post position number 12, but can he set off horses? We don't know what Owen Almighty is going to do from way out there, closest to the seats.
Yeah, if they go, we're really going to see a big pace. If they just want to sit in that sort of stalking spot, looking to make first move with that wide effort, then it might not heat up, Joe. So what they do is going to affect things in a big way.
Tracy Baeza currently on the outside looking in, and we'll see. I mean, most people think it's going to be a fast pace in the Derby. That certainly wouldn't disappoint the man who is standing by with Megan Burgess. He's got a couple of Derby horses, both of which are expected to come from off the pace. Megan?
Well, it's a privilege to be joined by a man who doesn't need an introduction, and North America's all-time winningest trainer, and Steve Asmussen. And Steve, you've brought in a lot of nice colts to Louisville, exiting wins in the Louisiana Derby. You do so again with Tistastic. What are your impressions of him and his breeze tap since getting here to Churchill?
He's settled in really nicely. You know, it's very comfortable that both of our Derby participants were here last fall. As you mentioned, Tistastic winning the Louisiana Derby. He's been here a good 6 weeks, settled in beautifully, like his training rhythm, and expect him to show his best in the Derby.
You mentioned the distance was the difference maker in him. Has this colt taken a step forward to capitalize on the early speed in this race?
Well, I think that we all know that the faster they go early, the better it'll be for him. I mean, there is speed signed on, whether or not they use it. The post-position draw, you know, with Bob's horses both being capable of pace, but being in the 1 and 4, what kind of room that makes. It's extremely interesting from that point.
Well, the storyline has been the maiden status of your Arkansas Derby runner-up, a publisher, but you're a maestro in developing young horses. What has his breeze tap looked like since he's gotten here as well?
Well, he's quite obviously an impressive horse working, and he's always kept this level of company. You know, it's the horses that he's worked with since he came into the barn last summer and stuff, you know, the Magnitudes, Clever Against, Tistastic himself. We've always known that he was capable and belonged with this level of horse. The fact that he is a maiden does not eliminate. They go by points, and he's earned enough points to get here. And I think that both of the horses that we're bringing in here, that once the races, Mile and 8th Arkansas Derby, Mile and 3/16 Louisiana Derby, it separates them.
This colt, talk about his progress overall and what you've seen him learn from his Oaklawn prep this winter.
Well, I think that, you know, the whole process with publisher, beautiful frame, beautiful pedigree, but physically always needing just a little bit more. I think that we brought him to the races light and with didn't overdo it. And I think that we've kept it in front of us and to try to peak for this day. Been comfortable going into the Arkansas Derby. We had a tremendous level of confidence in him with how he was training and the signals that he was giving to us. And I think that his second was solid. But we need better, and we think we're capable of better.
Well, Irad Ortiz Jr. climbs aboard this colt for the very first time, and you've mentioned he's laid back, steady mind. Do you find Irad is the perfect pilot to maybe get him a bit more aggressive and into this race?
Well, I don't think that it takes obviously Irad, perfect pilot for 99% of them, and we're very fortunate to have him, and hopefully he can win another classic for us.
Well, Steve, it's always a privilege to hear you talk your horses. Thank you so much for taking the time to do so again this morning.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Nothing's more exciting than Derby week.
Well, he's on the short list of the greatest to ever do it. I couldn't think of a team more deserving guys than Team Asmussen to secure their first Kentucky Derby victory.
We thank Steve and all the trainers and guests that we've had during the early portions of the morning workout show. They got a lot going on, and we do appreciate their very valuable time. Citizen Bull with that blitz yesterday. You know, Bob Baffert had talked about taking the blinkers off. He decided, probably a day before the draw to leave the blinkers on for the Kentucky Derby. Then he drew the rail, Kevin. As a 2-year-old, he was a champion. We'll see what how he stacks up against these as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, the champion of that group early on proved himself dangerous forward, right? Hadn't gone this distance or had any sort of close attempt at like a 3/16 or anything like that. He moved very well yesterday. He's showing all signs that if you think he can get the distance, he's in great form. He came onto the scene aggressive. Remember that first day he was on the track. He was looking to do as much as he could and getting held back from it. And this is what he wanted to show the world, this move. It was quite fantastic. But I have questions about distance. Can he get the distance, Joe? I don't think so. I think he also, with the post position draw, moves down in my estimation in terms of that's a tough spot to get it done from that one hole.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Nobody's done it since Ferdinand way back in 1986. But, he looks to be the horse that's going to most likely be on the lead. It's not your father's starting gate. There's more room down there. Martin Garcia was all smiles when I saw him on the backstretch yesterday as we sent it to James Scully. And James, this horse is like a machine.
He really is. He just made a great impression since he's got to Churchill Downs. And, you know, he fooled me in this work, Joe. I didn't think he was going as fast as he was. This is his fourth workout for Citizen Bull since that April 5th Santa Ana Derby. He's gone fast in all of them. Doesn't appear to be taking anything out of him, but it is you can't question whether he's been doing too much.
Fast splits throughout, 11-3, 23, 45-4, 58-2. The official clocking, galloping out in 112-2 and 7 furlongs and 127-1. Citizen Bull, one of the likely pace setters for Kentucky Derby 151. Let's switch gears from Citizen Bull to Cole Battle. And a 5-time winner. He is a throwback horse to say the least. And Kevin, he's put together a nice resume for Lonnie Briley.
Yeah, he has put on a great resume, winning across the country, all sorts of different tracks, right? And has encountered trouble as a 2-year-old, and he's overcome it, so he's had his learning experiences. He's a neat mind, Joe. I thought this was a nice move that he put together, going just 3 furlongs yesterday. A nice little blowout to get things rolling. I think he wanted to do more. I think the exercise rider, Bethany Taylor, knows him so well, able to keep him within himself, and that's what you want. You want him sitting on go for the big race. What I love about him is that he can put himself where he wants to be, where the rider wants him to be in terms of position early. He's rateable. If it's slow and he breaks well, he could be forward. I'd prefer him to see him relax a little bit and get in that tracking spot. So he runs down horses like nobody's business.
12-1, official clocking for 3 furlongs, 36 flat. Let's send it quickly to James Scully here. Your impressions of this work, much different than what we saw from Citizen Bull.
Cole Battle isn't going to be the flashiest workhorse, but he's all racehorse in the afternoons. And, you know, I think that he's coming into it. You can count on him making a run, I think, on Saturday. It's just a matter of the distance, whether he can finish in the stretch. Yeah, Lonnie Briley has to be pleased with how he's coming into the race.
Horses need to learn their lessons to be able to run their best on the first Saturday in May, but horses also teach trainers what they need to be at their best, and Lonnie Briley certainly has learned from this horse as we check in with him.
I give him a little 3/8. I always like to blow him out, and he went very well. 2 horses got in front of him. He grabbed a bit, and I went, oh, and then he backed up, and he went 36, which was perfect. You know, I don't want to gut him out, but you know, just open his lungs a little bit, and he galloped out real good. And like usual, when you pull him up, he'll kick up in the air a couple of times and say, "Ha, I'm done." And but he came back, and knock on wood, there's not a pimple on him, and got his bath, and he's grazing right now. I schooled him twice. The hands walked him up there, and we walked him around the paddock. We saddled him in the paddock, and we done that for 2 days. And then when I send Bethany out there to gallop or jog or whatever, she takes him to the paddock and walks him around there. He's been a very, very good. I hope he's like that race day, you know, but he's done really well in the paddock. The Rebel, he drew the 1 hole, and I said, "Oh Lord, the kiss of death." And but he breaks good, and you can place him. So he broke good, and Vargas pulled him kind of in the middle, and then the speed went on, and when the half mile, when they hit it in 45, I was smiling. You know, I said, "Oh, now they're in trouble." And then I told Vargas between the 5/16 and 3/8 pole that turned him loose, and he went around them horses, you know, pretty handily, and then Macadat was up front. He ran, he hooked him, and then a couple of jumps he passed him, and he ended up winning by, I think, 1 3/4, 2 lengths. The closer you get to the paddock, the tougher the race gets.
Lonnie Briley, one of the more popular figures on the backstretch leading up to the Kentucky Derby. And based on him wearing that ball cap, it looks like he may have secured himself a sponsorship deal with Cody Media. To move over to Baeza on the outside, looking in, number 21 AE. And he certainly has the pedigree to put together a very good career. He is a little brother of not only the Derby winner from a couple of years ago, Mage, but also the Belmont winner from last year, Dornock, who ran in the Kentucky Derby, Kevin.
Yeah, he's got those siblings, and they were able to get it done with relatively, not much seasoning coming into to this part of the year. But his move yesterday, we saw a maintenance effort. Do we need to see more from him? I mean, we look at this runner, always thinking that distance he moves better. So I don't expect to see him move very sharp through an early part of a work. He's moved forward in a big way in the San Diego Derby, ran a big figure. Wise guys love him because of the figures that he's been getting. Distance is his friend. Does he have more for us? Will he even get in? I think there's enough question marks that I'm still on the fence about Baeza.
Flavien Prat, the Eclipse Award winning rider from last year, thinks enough of this horse to wait around to see if he gets in. He has been named for trainer John Sheriff's 13-3, 26-2, 37-4, 102 galloping out, 116 flat. Different kind of work that we saw from Citizen Bull, and even from Coal Battles, we've sent it back to James Scully.
Wasn't asked as much as Citizen Bull and Coal Battle. Baeza, he's long, he's smooth. He's going to have to break from post 20 if he does draw into the field or the far outside. So going to have to work out a trip, and he's inexperienced, but he's definitely a talented 3-year-old, and we'll see if he can handle it if he gets into the field.
Trainer John Sheriffs has been a little bit frustrated not being able to get into the Kentucky Derby field, but he's liked what he's seen so far from Baeza.
He's adapted very well to Churchill Downs. He's galloped well the few days that he's been here. I thought he had a nice work this morning. So Brad Pegram, Flavien Prat's agent, called me a couple of weeks ago and said that Prat would be available if Baeza gets in the Derby. Until he goes into his next race, we won't really know for sure. But he came out of that race really well. There weren't any setbacks, or they didn't tail off at all. So we assume that he'll go into his next race equally as well, and hopefully there'll be even more improvement. Well, everything in his pedigree screams 1.25 miles or 1.5 miles, so I would assume so, yeah. And because of the way he works and the way he gallops, always he does better the farther he goes.
Baeza needs a defection between now and Friday morning in order to be able to run in Kentucky Derby 151. Will we be able to bet on Baeza in the Kentucky Derby? We'll have the answer to that question later in the week, but we do know, Kevin, that if we bet, it's wise to opt into the Twin Spires money back offer. It started on opening night all the way through the Derby and eligible races. If you bet a horse to win, they run second or third, you get up to $10 back.
Yeah, Joe, this saved me on opening night. I had 3 big win bets that I was going after, and they all ran second or third, so that brought some of that money back into my account. And guess what? I'm going to fire those money back rewards that I got today, Tuesday. We've got a big race, and we've got 5 day of races. So opt into this and get involved and take your swings.
Pace of the race has been a big storyline in Kentucky Derby 151, and one of the horses likely to come from pretty far off the pace, he might even be last early, is Final Gambit. It's a calculated risk to run him in the Derby for Brad Cox and his crew. We're going to ride along with Final Gambit and jockey Luan Machado when we return.
Place your bets with Twin Spires Handicapping Insights, our expert picks, or just by choosing a name that catches your eye. No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires. Get your money back if your horse finishes second or third in eligible races.
The Kentucky Derby, Woodford Reserve Bourbon is a spectacle for the senses.
We are back on the Kentucky Derby morning workout show. A lot of the TV, local TV, and local radio stations on the backstretch as the buzz continues to grow here at Churchill Downs as we're just days away from the Kentucky Oaks on Friday and the Kentucky Derby on Saturday. Welcome back to the morning workout show presented by Twin Spires. Main track is fast and the temperature is in the low 70s. And it's a journey to the Kentucky Derby. We talked about it for everybody that's involved. Jose Ortiz from Churchill to Fairgrounds to Keeneland to Oaklawn to Tampa, back to New Orleans. His journey continues. Let's catch up with Jose.
As a jockey, obviously, you're gonna try to ride as much breaths as you can.
Ready to go in the rebel. Here we are at the biggest race of the meeting.
The Grade 3 Landholm South Tampa Bay Derby.
They're off in the TwinSpires.com Louisiana Derby.
And Jose Ortiz still doesn't seem any closer to finding his mount.
We're all going for the same thing. That's what make it fun.
Kevin Kilroy with a cameo appearance. Journey to the Derby, Jose Ortiz. His search for a Derby mount continues. Episode 5 was released this morning. A couple of more episodes in a very thought-provoking series. You see how a jockey gets to get to the mount they eventually are awarded on the first Saturday in May. And we've been along that journey with jockey Jose Ortiz.
Yeah, what a roller coaster, Joe. We got to see that firsthand. That's a great series. I'm glad they put that together.
Here is a final gambit on the racetrack. We're going to ride along with him. It's going to be fun. Kevin, this is a horse that has been running on the synthetic at Turfway Park most recently. And the big question with him is, could he handle dirt? It's Brad Cox, it's Juddmonte. He's got the connections, but you still need to prove yourself. It's a much different ballgame, turf, synthetic, and the dirt here at Churchill Downs or elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking fantastic on the track. We can see the move from him last Saturday. I believe it was with Coffee Talk on the inside. Luan Machado up aboard, willing to get us this ride-along footage that we're going to get to watch. And he's moving great over it. I don't think there's any questions that he handles the dirt. Does he have enough in him to move forward after that big move forward last time? Is his figure a little bit dressed up with how the track was playing at Turfway in terms of off the pace, center of the track moves? We'll see. It's a gray. You know he's going to capture the attention of the fans out there as we get ready for the first Saturday in May.
I'd like to bring in Megan if we can, then we'll bring in James after that. This is really, really cool footage. A view that I will never have, Megan, unless we're watching this video.
Yeah, me neither, guys. One of these horses that in this race final gambit for trainer Brad Cox, of course, we know the story of Tapan Street exiting with injury, and I think that Brad has a very, very nice horse in this colt. I think that he's a very versatile, not this time colt. He's got the pedigree, the stamina to do well in this race. He's taken to the dirt so well, and as you can see in this move, I've remarked on some of these horses that looks like a box of dynamite, and that is what he's been doing, and his gallops out have been strong as well. So guys, expect a big run from this not this time colt.
Yeah, real quickly, James, this is one of my long shots.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Like Kevin said, he's trained well here, and he's going to be running late. So one to definitely consider, I think, for at least the exotics.
All right, so a lot of talk about the pace. We showed you a pace projector before the draw. Now with the post positions and final gambit likely to come from way out of it, we're going to take a look at the speed horses first. Horses that are expected to be forward. That can change once the starting gate opens. Like I mentioned earlier, Kevin, always a horse or two that you don't expect to be up close battling for the lead. But with Citizen Bull drawing the rail and the blinkers on, to me it looks like he's going to go. Neo Equos, Rodriguez, American Promise, Admire Daytona just to his outside. Then in the middle of the pack, East Avenue, and way out there, Owen Almighty.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about. We've got stablemates, right? Rodriguez, I've never seen him pass a horse in a race, right? Does he need the lead? That's a big question. How do they sort that out? Citizen Bull, I think he's got to go forward. A lot of times in the Derby, we see the pace get prompted by horses that don't want to be forward, but they're drawn to the inside, and they've got to escape that throng of horses that comes down to the rail. We don't have that. The ones that want to be forward are on the inside. It's interesting to see how this will shape up.
Here's the wood, and Rodriguez went gate to wire, taking the blinkers off for Grande on the outside. We'll talk about him in a moment, but he does complete the gate to wire voyage here, and this was kind of his coming out party.
Yeah, it was. It was his spot where he ran big for his first start as a 3-year-old, went a little bit south, but he went right back to that top, galloped out huge. We've seen him work very good deep into his moves in the morning. A lot to like about him, except for that he hadn't shown us he can pass horses.
Let's bring James Scully in on this cue. The horses that are expected to stalk, including the favorite James Journalism, well drawn in post position number 8. Some of the others that are likely to be probably in the middle of the pack, seen here along with Grande, who is lightly raced with just the 3 lifetime starts and just had that most recent workout at Keeneland for Todd Pletcher, his only starter in the Derby. Your thoughts about that stalking cue?
I think that they're potentially in a good spot given the makeup of the field. I mean, we have so much speed, but we also have a ton of like late runners. So you would think that these stalking types like Grande, Journalism, Baeza, Coal Battle, maybe another horse as well, could sit that trip like in between like 5th and 8th or 9th and be in position, hopefully, to turn it for home to offer their best run.
Now, Journalism in a short field came from last year, but what you didn't see is the shuffle on the far turn. He got shuffled all the way back to last, Kevin, and he comes outside here. He's going to run down Baeza. But in the Kentucky Derby, and we've seen it in some of his other races, he is expected to be one of the horses in the second flight.
Yeah, I mean, he's been racing against short fields, so we've also seen him a little bit more forward in some of his preps. He breaks pretty clean, pretty sharp. I think he can sort of pick his spot, which is what you want. What I don't like about that run there is it did seem like off the pace, down the center of the track moves were the best ones to be had on San Diego Derby, and that's what he was able to do there to pass Baez at the end.
A lot of the late runners are also horses that are expected to get bet. Sandman, Sovereignty, Burnham Square, who's been moving up a lot of people's lists as we take a look back at Burnham Square in the Bluegrass, and we see East Avenue on the lead. Render Judgment is down along the inside as well. Burnham Square is going to rally in the middle of the track, Kevin, to eventually catch East Avenue in a thrilling photo finish. East Avenue expected to be forward in the Kentucky Derby, and Burnham Square is just relentless here.
Well, he got away a little bit slowly, had a little bit of trouble there out of the gates, and I think that makes him seem like more of a sort of out-the-back closer than he is. I think he's got a little bit more tactical speed than maybe he's given credit for it. So I think he could be a little bit more forward than the out-the-back closer, but this move to pass East Avenue at the end is ultra impressive and maybe comes up a little bit slow on figures because the track was playing forward at Keeneland. So for him to be able to run that one down after losing ground every step of the way, he's at the top of my list, Joe.
Yeah, me too. He's really grown on me watching him train here at Churchill and talking to Ian Wilkes, who has said that he can't get to the bottom of this horse, and he's not the physical specimen of some of the others, but certainly appears to be coming into the race the right way. Okay, we expect some activity from the Japanese invaders here in Admire Daytona and Luxor Cafe, and let's send it to Megan. They are already in that shoot area, stretching their legs. They're expected to get a little bit more serious work today in the form of a published breeze.
Yeah, and we had mentioned with Kate Hunter last week that she said this serious drill might disappoint some Americans as far as our typical work tab. We have to remember that as we see them take to the track today, that Admire Daytona is coming off of an effort at the UAE Derby that was a little bit later this year. So keep in mind, he's in form. He has the fitness as far as that's concerned. But Luxor Cafe, keep an eye on his progress this morning. He's a colt that I find that they might do a little bit more with, just depending on what his Japanese trainer wants to quite do with him today. So that's going to be really interesting for me. He's a horse I'm very interested overall, and I'm trying to get a gauge on him, and we could certainly find out this morning.
This was the paddock schooling from yesterday, James, and these horses are just so very well taught. They are in the paddock schooling here with riders on their back, cool, calm, and collected, and I don't think the composure is going to be an issue in the Kentucky Derby. Whether or not they're good enough remains to be seen, but it's cool to see these horses schooling in this fashion.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, they'll back him into the stall with the rider and get him to stand still. And, yeah, we saw this last year a lot for Forever Young and T.O. Password. And once again, they definitely are getting well accustomed to the surroundings here. I'm not going to have any surprises come Derby Day. I'm really excited to see these horses work. You know, it's tough for me to envision where Luxor Cafe will be in the early going, but I think Admire Daytona is a candidate to get a good trip from post 6.
It's a great product on Bristnet. The Competitor's Edge, Kerry Thomas puts together the visual handicapping scouting report, and I'm curious to see if he thinks either the two Japanese horses are alphas as we switch gears from the Derby horses to the Kentucky Oaks. The run for the Lilies coming up on Friday. Full field of 14 signed on for this one, including the 6-5 morning line favorite who will be on the second page, Good Cheer. Kevin, when we take a look at this field and the expected pace, you got Simply Joking, you got Lacara, you got 5G from the 8th post inward.
Yeah, you know, I think 5G is very, very dangerous in here. I think it's great to see her on the track. and she showed me that sort of upward pace line that I like. A forward runner, but still goes faster as she goes deeper into the race. LaCara, the opposite. She goes fast, quick, tries to run them off their feet and tire them. I don't think that's the type of winning style that I want to see to win the Oaks.
One of the horses we haven't seen much of on the work show is 5G, who's got a nice resume. She's been first or second in 5 consecutive races, including a win last out in the short-stretched Gulfstream Park Oaks. This is her galloping. Second to Quiet Side in the Honeybee. That was a very good race for both horses. And then, winning last out the Gulfstream Park Oaks. She is a forward horse, Kevin, and is she good enough? The price is certainly going to be right.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see. The figures on her are impressive. She's up at the top of my list, right behind Good Cheer. I think she's super dangerous in here. I'm trying to watch her and get a feel for how she's feeling, whether that zapped her in terms of winning that Gulfstream Park Oaks. But she looked good enough in that little gallop.
Horses are getting ready to come back out onto the racetrack. Again, expected breezes from the Japanese duo. A lot of horses that worked on Sunday expected to be back on the racetrack here this morning. We'll be right back.
As they head to the backstretch, it's a tight pack.
He's going to pull ahead. The Twin Spires expert picks were all optimistic.
You've got the best speed rating in the field. Don't fail me now.
Man, I love this horse's name.
And from far behind, here comes Frank. It's neck and neck. Frank is winning. Frank wins!
Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires, the official betting partner of the Kentucky Derby. Get your money back if your horse finishes second or third in eligible races.
We are back on the Kentucky Derby Morning Workout Show. There you see trainer Ethan West, who does get on his Kentucky Derby hopeful Chunk of Gold in the mornings. He's going to be taking to the racetrack in just a couple of moments. Another one of the horses, and I can say this, Kevin, about a lot of them that are growing on me as the days move forward. There's only so many of them you can bet, and as James Scully has taught me, it's all about the structure.
It's all about the structure, right? How do you sort them? How do you work them? How do you wheel them? What are you going to do with them? Chunk of Gold, I think, maybe one of the losers in terms of the draw, that far outside spot. He's got more tactical ability than people might realize. I think his sort of preferred spot would be in that stalking queue. So he's going to have to figure things out. Might get caught wide there, but he's got Jareth Loveberry in the irons. And he's gotten second in his one Kentucky Derby run, so he knows how to run well.
Grande's final work came at Keeneland before arriving here at Churchill Downs. And this is a horse I'm very interested in, James, but maybe more so moving forward for the Belmont. We know that Todd Pletcher doesn't normally race in the Preakness regardless of how his horses perform in the Derby. He likes to give them the 5 weeks between now and the Belmont, and we're going to just bounce around here. But James, I'm going to throw it back to you. We just saw Grande. Now we see one of the likely pace setters in Rodriguez. Lots of activity.
Yeah, lots of activity. I agree with Grande. I mean, his inexperience, a little bit of concern, so maybe the Belmont might be a better spot for him to peak in, but he's eligible to get a good trip in Rodriguez. You guys talked about it. I mean, can you envision the two Bob Baffert horses going head and head into the first turn? It's hard for me to envision it, but we'll see how it shakes up.
Yeah, it's interesting, Kevin, because there's a lot of strategizing that's going to be going on after the draw, and particularly in the Baffert camp, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, the horse is the horse, though, right? I don't see Rodriguez not going forward. I don't see Citizen Bowl getting the distance, so we'll see how they sort of handle themselves. And then Grande, seeing him on the track, Joe, he hasn't taken a speck of dirt in any of his races. He's going to, for sure, but he does have tactical options. He can be forward. We've seen him in his first 2 races be very forward in the race. We saw him wide throughout, purposefully so, by that ride by Johnny V, and come with a nice late run. He's curious. He's fast enough. I don't know. He's not seasoned at all.
And there you see Admire Daytona, who was expected to breeze as we send it back down to Megan. And it's interesting, you know, they just walk past the crowd. There's a lot of people here. They just seem so relaxed, the riders, as well as the horses, Megan.
They do. And at this point, you know, excuse me, You know, they've been out here every single day. These horsemen have gotten these horses out, whether it be with the pony, whether it be solo, galloping, and getting used to these crowds. And while it's going to be unparalleled, 150,000 screaming fans on Saturday to accompany them to their biggest test of their lives, I haven't really seen a horse that I've thought, you know, that's going to be a huge issue. I know Rodriguez, who we're seeing right now, he has been known to be rambunctious and have kind of an attitude like his sire Authentic when it comes to his pre-race behavior and maybe psyching himself off of some of his efforts. So if I were to have a horse that I have my eye on as far as attitude, keep an eye on Rodriguez as far as those pre-race jitters are concerned.
Very smooth mover is Rodriguez, and he looks good in his workouts, Kevin. But you know, talking to Tony Calo, it seems like he does get a little bit distracted. I can see why he had blinkers on before the Wood Memorial, took him off, won that race, but went gate to wire, and really didn't have much to look at down the stretch. He was pretty well clear. He was, yeah. Maybe we're seeing Admire Daytona get rolling. He's what we're hearing is he's scheduled to work with Great Day for Hockey at Dale Roman's trainee. So we'll see Admire Daytona if this is the move. We're always kind of wondering. It seems like so as we see that company from the Romans barn join him on the outside. And one of the big questions with Admire Daytona, we saw him go gate to wire in the UAE Derby. We've seen him come from off of it. Maybe an excuse in the highest sense in terms of taking dirt, having to go behind a wall of horses. But he's interested in moving easily. We can see a stronghold on the Romans horse to the outside as he tries to figure out what they want to do together here. Yeah, that's a great point, James. You're up on the fourth floor with a good view of this. It looks like they're really trying to restrain the Romans horse to not get up on the flank of Admire Daytona here.
Yeah, because when we saw this before from these Japanese horses, they get into these moves real slowly. I mean, they're not going quick at first, and yeah, the workmate's under a big hole, but he's going to draw even right here, and they're going to speed it up a little bit down the lane.
Admire Daytona on the inside. You know, he's been forward in a lot of his races. He did a couple of starts ago, finished fourth behind Luxor Cafe. But Kevin, that was the day where he had a really poor break from the starting gate, kind of made a middle move and flattened out a little bit. It's going to be very interesting to see how forward this horse is in the Derby. Yeah, you know, I'll never forget seeing that, watching the UAE Derby, and he just starts revving up. He starts grabbing the dirt in front of him, and you could tell that he really was feeling good and excited to show his stuff. So he's in a good space. They're maintaining him his form. He's keeping Great Day for Hockey to his side. Maybe he just gets pulled back a little bit. I think Great Day for Hockey is going to get by him in here, but I think he's offering a nice move in this drill here. Yeah, I don't have any sort of context for the workmate here. Maybe I have to do a little bit of research. I think he's had some promise. Hadn't necessarily put it together in the afternoons, but I've seen him put some good moves in the morning. So I think he is a strong worker. Okay, so yeah, so a good test there for Admire Daytona. We got the workout times coming in from Kevin Kirstein. Final time is going to be 1:02 and 2 for Admire Daytona, and that's pretty much what it looked like out there. I'm guessing we'll get the splits here, but slow early, quickened a little bit late when that workmate came up to his flank. Yeah, he looks like he's looking at his tail right now, being like, how'd you get by me? He's mad at his rider. He's like, I wanted that. That guy's not better than me. Come on, let me go get him. Come on, let's do this. He's staring him down from behind, right? He's got more to show. So Admire Daytona's always been showing his personality on the track, and I thought that was a solid move. Definitely as fast as we could have hoped for, I think, from what we've seen from him so far. Yeah, I mean, it's like you see these final works and even the gallops, the way the horse is moving. We've either seen horses that have been training great or horses that have been training good. It's like you can't look at him and say, oh, this horse is a toss, like we maybe have seen in previous years. Sovereignty is going into the paddock here to school. We're going to see a lot of this over the course of the next few days. We'll try to bring you some of the schoolers during live racing action at Churchill Downs. A lot of them do school pre-race in the paddock, Kevin, when there are people here, there are other horses in the paddock. Just getting to see the surroundings is a good experience, but you want to try to simulate race day as much as you can. You'll never be able to simulate Kentucky Derby Day, though. No, not at all. I mean, he's one that we've got some things to work with in terms of what we've seen from him. Number one, we've seen him sweats, right? We've seen the anxiety that comes from him, and we're hearing more and more about he's a little bit of a high-strung horse, so schooling is good, right? Do we want to downgrade him because it's going to be a much more intense environment on that Derby day? And then also we've seen him just be with some cupcakes in terms of his stablemates in the morning that he's been putting away. A little bit handled with softness. Is that to get his confidence up, or we just don't want to do too much with him because we have him right where we want him? There's a couple question marks about Sovereignty for me. But he looks fantastic. What a specimen. No question marks. And speaking of what a specimen, about journalism, the only question mark, I think, is how low of a price do you want to try to take on him? We did a jury segment yesterday for Twin Spires. James was involved with that. Darren Zocali, Ashley Anderson, and Nick Tamaro said he thinks this horse is going to be upwards of 7-2, 4-1 Kentucky Derby favorite. A lot of question marks as to how low the price is going to go. I think Sandman's going to be the second choice, and there are other bettable horses in the field. This is Michael McCarthy. This isn't a household name like Todd Pletcher or Bob Baffert or D. Wayne Lucas or the trainers that the general public gravitates to. I'm thinking 3-1. I think Nick might be right. Could be upwards of 7-2, but I don't think we're going to see a 2-1 favorite in the Derby with journalism in a 20-horse field.
Yeah, I think just the more that we see him, the more that we hear talk about him, he's definitely captured the market's attention. So what they do with him, do they love his name? Do they get behind McCarthy, in terms of that sort of public money? And how much do the sharps and the computers love him is a big part of it. His figures are the fastest. He's ran the fastest race, but he's done it against short fields, Joe, and has done against these Baffert contingency that there's distance question marks, right? So he's one that the more I think about it, it's going to be too short of a price for me to swing with.
Absolute ball of energy on the track is Burnham Square, but in a good way. We'll send it back to James Scully. And James, again, we were on that jury live show on X yesterday, and there was talk about Burnham Square being 15-1. I don't think he's going to be 15-1. I would think more in the range of 10-1, I think would be fair on him. But this is the horse amongst everyone else, put the past performances aside, that has really grown on me over the course of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think arguably he's a horse that I don't think a lot of people were picking him first or second and maybe even third coming into exiting that bluegrass. But he's a horse that's impressed a lot of people. He's moving up the rankings, like you said. And just look at that head. I mean, he's not feeling the effects at all of that last drill on Sunday, it doesn't appear.
What is he doing? This man is
he wants to run through a brick wall.
He wants to run through a brick wall. What a beautiful shot. I hope Barbara Livingston's nearby capturing this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's take a look at Luxor Cafe. We got him down the stretch from his breeze just moments ago, I believe. And he is going solo, and there you see him. He's a more imposing individual, Kevin, than Admire Daytona. And it looks like we got the time here, 102 2/5 on Luxor Cafe, and Kevin Kirstein sending us these splits as well. 13 and 2. 26 flat, 37 and 4, 102 2/5. Here's the gallop out, which is not tremendously. Kevin, your impressions of this? And again, we got to see it in the home stretch and through the gallop out here.
Yeah, it seemed like the rider was tucked low, had a very strong hold on the horse. And this is what his signature is. It's just hold him back, Joe. And his turn of foot is electric. His acceleration. We've seen him lose ground and then just fly past the field in his races in Japan. So I thought that was a very nice move. I like his energy at the end of it. They're holding him back. They're getting that mindset going in terms of what they want from him, to hold, wait, and then push the button.
Just to see him kind of stretch his legs a little bit, James, I mean, he's a nice-looking physical, Luxor Cafe. He has the pedigree, too, and he's not coming into the race with the same fanfare, not even close, as Forever Young. What kind of price do you think Luxor Cafe is going to be, James?
I think 10-1 to 12-1. I mean, I think he's going to take a little bit of sneaky action. Not a lot of people talking about him right now, but I think, I think that the international horses are going to attract more attention this year because of how Forever Young ran. And you mentioned it, American Pharoah as a sire, he hasn't had any impact yet on the Triple Crown, but Luxor Cafe's dam side, I mean, he's bred to run 2 miles. He's real stout breeding. Distance will be no issue for him, it seems. I'm just a little worried about his trip. I mean, I don't want to see him at the very tail of the field. If he could sit like 14th, 15th, that seemingly would be a good spot for his late run.
Meyer Daytona's times from the half-mile pole, 13 to 125 and 3, 49 and 2, 102 and 2 galloping out 116-1. And Megan, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you've got great interest in Ballerina de Oro in the Kentucky Oaks. What you got?
I do. She's one of my favorite horses in the field, and I think she's underrated for the Chad Brown barn, who we know came in last year, guns loaded with Sierra Leone. But this filly is so interesting to me. She's a Chad Brown trainee that I think is progressing at the right time. While her speed figures on paper kind of leave more to be desired, she is a huge scopy daughter of Medaglia d'Oro that has proven time and time again that this distance is no issue. Her late acceleration, I'm extremely interested in. Her scope and just her overall development, I think, is kind of coming into herself at the right time. And I think that she's severely underrated overall, especially when there are fillies that have run a lot faster races than her, but I just can't help but look at that Demoiselle at 2 and believe that she has the credentials and she has the ability to win this race on Friday.
Kevin, I haven't been impressed. I mean, I thought the Devona Dale third, okay, it's a one-turn race. She's going to get better in the Gazelle, and she did win that race, but didn't think it was a strong field. She was on the wrong lead. She was green. She didn't run very fast. Now, she is going to have a fast pace to run at, you would think, in the Kentucky Oaks, and she does get Flavia and Pratt for Chad Brown, but this is one of those that I'm willing to maybe take a stand against.
Yeah, me too, absolutely. I like early on better than her out of that Gazelle. I mean, early on did all the dirty work on the front end and then also passed Ballerina de Oro in the gallop out. So Ballerina de Oro was able to save ground and then come and just barely get her up. So, yeah, I'm trying to fade her for sure.
We got the starting gate. It looks like the Japanese work is not done this morning between the schooling in the paddock yesterday and the breezes this morning. Now we are going into the starting gate. Admire Daytona in the red there, and circling around behind the starting gate, James's Luxor Cafe. What can you see?
Yeah, they're waiting. It looks like Admire Daytona went in there very smoothly, and he's just sitting just like a perfect candidate. I'm not sure if if the other Japanese horse Luxor is going to join him. It looks like he is now, but yeah, this is just to get him ready. They don't, I know these Japanese horses, they haven't dealt with like the starting, the breaks like the American horses are. So as much of this preparation, schooling they can get, the better. And that's the break hasn't been a real issue though for these Japanese horses. We saw both Crown Pride and Summer Is Tomorrow get out very well and show high speed.
Of course, Forever Young though, stumbling out of the gates, right? Almost taking a bow there, and probably would have won that Derby last year if it had not.
Again, the gate schooling process, and again, just hats off to the gate crew here at Churchill and all the racetracks, across the country and the world. Not a job that I would be overly thrilled to do, Kevin, but you got to handle these 1,000-pound animals and get them to relax and push the button at the right time for the cleanest starts possible. So just want to give a shout out to them. Again, the way they handle these horses going into the starting gate, 20-horse starting gate in the Kentucky Derby, a very important and not often recognized role out there.
Yeah, these two are going to be looking to break sharp, and that's the key, right? It's where you draw in the race definitely affects, and who you draw next to, sort of what you have available to you once you break well, but you've got to break well. You've really got to put that best hoof forward to get into that good spot and not put yourself behind the 8 ball right in the first furlong.
Got some more gallopers moments ago that we want to show you as we switch gears from the starting gate back to some action. This is Sovereignty. And we've talked about the fact that, and we've seen it visually, live and on video, of him getting a little bit warm a couple of days last week and gradually improved. And after his breeze didn't get warm at all, obviously not warm here. Kevin, it seems like when he does get warm, it's when he's exiting the racetrack. We'll keep an eye on that. But again, a beautiful animal who's got the resume, who's going to be running late, who already likes this racetrack. He checks a lot of the most important boxes.
Yeah, you can see his big, thick neck. I mean, this is he just looks fantastic. He just paired up numbers. If you're looking at Thorograph, and the question is he able to move forward from that? Is he being sort of trained to move forward from that? Is he going to go south? Is he going to run the race back? We just saw him following to Pan Street the entire way in the Florida Derby and just never really narrow the gap, even in the gallop out. So that was a testament to that Cox trainee who, too bad, is doing well, but is out of this Derby. But he's got question marks, but his figures are right there. So if he does move forward, watch out. If the pace heats up, definitely watch out.
Oftentimes when horses breeze, they don't go to the track the next day. They'll just simply have a walk day, James, but that is not the case with Baeza. We saw him moments ago on the track here at Churchill.
Yeah, and he's out there just a nice, easy jog, but appears to be moving smoothly. That's what you want to see coming out of these works. And, you know, he's a horse. Baeza is one of only 2 horses with Final Gambit that broke their maiden 2 starts back. So I'm sure, you know, there's some questions whether he'll be ready for the regiment, you know, the demands of a 20-horse field at 1.25 miles. But he's made a good impression and seems to be training well going into the race.
James, we talked about the Dam Puka and the fact that she has already had Kentucky Derby starters in Mage and Dornoch and potentially Baeza. I don't know that a broodmare has ever accomplished such a feat, and that's not the only solid runner in that family. So just absolutely amazing the production she's put forth.
She would be the first mare to ever have 3 consecutive starters in the Kentucky Derby. All 3 of them have been trained by different trainers, and Baeza is the first to be based on the West Coast.
Earlier we saw Admired Daytona in the starting gate. Luxor Cafe was patiently waiting his turn, Kevin, and he's gotten it.
Yeah, he's in there. You know, it's hard to sort of see how they're behaving. You're sort of looking to see if there anything's going on. But we can tell by the humans around that we can see above, the rider, et cetera, that he seems calm. Everything seems relaxed in the gates, which is what you want to see.
Yeah, Admired Daytona has been standing in there a long time, right? And that could be the case, James. The first Saturday in May, we've seen Kentucky Derbies where sometimes these horses have to stand in the gate a long, long time. Then it springs open, and obviously the entire environment around them changes. But if you can be relaxed in the starting gate, that's a major plus.
Yeah, I mean, you guys talked about it. Churchill has the best gate crew, I think, of any track in North America. But these horses, a lot of them are very lightly raced, and there's a lot going on, and they can be jittery at the starting gate. So getting as much practice to just stand in there, you could encounter that on Derby Day. They have, though, in the past gotten them in real quick, so that's always the goal. But there's always the potential a horse or 2 could balk, and it will take the horses will stand in there a while.
Was it Quality Road a few years ago, right? Is that the one that stands out in my mind? You're the historian,
sure.
James. Help me out here.
Scully should know.
Oh, what, in the gate, Palace Malice?
Palace Malice was one. I thought Quality Road 2 was one, but that might have been a Breeders' Cup. I don't know.
I think he missed the Derby, Joe.
Okay. We'll get off of my historical thought process here and go back to Baeza and John Sheriff's.
See a little bit of sweats, you know.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I'm not sure how far he went, but it seemed like just to be very light exercise out there. But I think it's kind of a positive sign to see him come back quick. He's got to get a lot of fitness in him to take on this field.
We'll take a look back at these works from this morning. And Megan, it's a little warm on the back stretch. I don't know how you're wearing a jacket, but it's a little bit humid out there too.
I know it is a bit warm. I'm a cold running person, so that's just my preference. But I will say this, you know, if you notice a horse that has a little bit of lather on him this morning, I wouldn't worry about that whatsoever. It is 72 degrees out here this morning. It is humid. We're expecting some big time thunderstorms this afternoon, which should put some, again, moisture in the track. And like I said, I wouldn't worry whatsoever if I see a horse having a little bit of that lather or sweat. It's completely normal, especially considering the conditions out here this morning.
Again, seeing Baeza needs a scratch from the Derby in order to get into the field. We're going to start with our Admired Daytona. His breeze from this morning, again, a little bit of a different breeze between he and Luxor Cafe, with Luxor Cafe going solo after Admired Daytona, who's in company here, Kevin, with Great Day for Hockey on the outside. And Great Day for Hockey might be a horse you want to keep an eye on. He seemed to work well. Major restraints here in the early portions of this work as Admired Daytona settles into his stride.
Yeah, you know, Great Day for Hockey, just a little more information about him. Maiden claiming winner at Keeneland last fall. We haven't seen him at the races since his Churchill effort at a starter allowance. So, you know, we've seen the Romans barn offer up workmates for these Japanese horses before. So what diplomats to the international scene. Great to see that. But yeah, I think he's aggressive on the outside, and Admired Daytona is keeping his composure. A very nice effort. You can see the rider just sort of maybe just tap a little bit when he thinks that we're getting close, just to try to get him just to do just enough to keep his lead above the outside runner in here. But the outside runner is definitely under a hold through a good amount of this work. But he's flying aggressively.
The Admired Daytona expected to be somewhat forward, but not the same kind of work that we saw from one of the expected pace setters in Citizen Bull yesterday. Much different. I'll give you the times here quickly. 13-2, 25-3, 49-1. Quickened a little bit there. 102-2, and then galloping out 116-1. And I'm sure, I'm sure we'll hear more, but I'm guessing that Team Japan was very happy with this move from Admired Daytona, probably exactly what they wanted. Let's go from Admired Daytona to Luxor Cafe. And the first time we've seen this horse stretch out, James, in any sort of meaningful way. He goes 13-2, 26 flat, 37-4, and 102-2 for Luxor Cafe. We'll take a look at that breeze here in a moment, but there you see Admired Daytona, wrapping up his breeze. And there you see Luxor Cafe coming off the racetrack. We will see his breeze here momentarily, but he's done a lot in a short time that he's been here. He's gone to the paddock to school. He's gone to the gate to school. He had his breeze today. And I was really looking forward, Kevin, to seeing him with a more meaningful move, which we'll take a look back in just a moment. Impressed with what I saw, impressed with his physicality.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We see a different rider aboard, as I'm not sure where they're escorting him now, if they're going off the track or back to the chute or what they're going to do. You can see Mike always escorting these foreign horses there with the pony. I'm going to take them somewhere there. So by the crowd, it looks like we're on the front side of things and just getting a little bit of walk, but a new rider up. Luxor Cafe got here later than Admired Daytona. He's got some catch-up to do for sure, but both these horses moving forward, and I think their figures fit with this field in a serious way.
Again, it goes 13-2 to the opening eighth, and then 26 flat to the opening quarter, and this is him down the stretch, and again, a nice fluid mover. Let's send it back to Megan here, completing this drill in 102-2, the exact same time as Admired Daytona, but he does it solo.
Yeah, this horse has been interesting. Like I had said before, I don't have a gauge on this horse, and Caitlin is very high on this horse as well, but his move was, I think, exactly what they wanted. It's Tuesday before the Saturday of the Kentucky Derby. I don't think that they were looking for anything overzealous regarding this particular breeze. He's a horse that, as James had mentioned, has an extensive pedigree credentials to get this distance, but my problem with him is that I don't know if he is quite good enough to handle the rigors of this race. The jury's still out on him for me, guys. I'm curious to think, what are your overall thoughts on the talent level of this colt?
Meg, one point I want to make about the work is we could see his left ear. You could see it was kind of a back and forth. He's paying attention to his rider. Do you want me to give more? He wasn't just all set down to a run and it wasn't stressful for him. He's like, I got more for you. Just let me know. I'm here for you. That was definitely a sign of class, and there's more in the tanks from Luxor Cafe.
As we've said with several of these, Luxor Cafe moving up my list. Only so many horses can move up your list. Others have to move down when others move up, but I like what I saw from him today, Kevin. And again, this is him exiting the track.
Yeah, we've got a nice crowd on hand that are giving a little bit of taste of the attention that they'll get on that first Saturday in May. Yeah, Dawn at the Downs, always a great program here at Churchill Downs, enjoying a wonderful breakfast, which we hope to partake in moments from now ourselves. I won't be going for seconds like I did yesterday, though. That proved to be detrimental for the rest of my day, but you only go for seconds when it's good. Joe, we got to be in training too, man. We can't just watch these horses working out on there and not also get in shape ourselves. So hopefully hit the gym today. Yeah, that would be nice to be able to squeeze in a trip to the gym amongst everything else that's going on. But we're going to send it to Megan Burgess now. This is going to be her final day on the work show. Just a couple of more work shows to come Wednesday and Thursday. Megan, great job from you, not only live here on the show, but on the backstretch. We don't recognize the job that the cameramen and the talent do getting those sound bites. Now it's time for you to give us your Oaks and Derby picks.
I know, I'm excited. People have been asking me, Meg, what's your picks? I said, I'm not telling you until today. The time has come on the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby, my top 5. And as far as the Kentucky Oaks quiet side remains above everybody else for me on this list. I've gotten to be able to really follow her progress with John Ortiz and Jose Ortiz, and this filly is sitting on a humongous effort. I think that her prep season has not made her any worse for wear, but Ballerina Gioro is high up there as well. I know Kevin and Joe are off of her. I disagree. Her Devonadale, she was never even supposed to be in that race. She was actually pegged for a start in the Rachel Alexandra going a bit longer at the fairgrounds. she had a shipping fever. So Chad wanted to get a race in her. I never thought that the mile at the Gulfstream was going to fit her, and I think she ran admirably well, all things considered. She shows up at the Gazelle, runs down early on, and while Chad had mentioned that maybe he liked that she didn't run out blazing, she liked that she kind of barely got there, because I thought that it kind of showed a little bit of grit and determination as far as she was concerned. So I am still very high on Ballerina Dioro there at morning line 10-1. We go to, of course, the favorite, Good Cheer. Nobody's going to leave her out, and they shouldn't. She's an extremely talented, undefeated daughter of Medaglia Dioro for Godolphin out of a Grade 1 winner. She's done everything right. There are no holes to poke in her at this point. Simply Joking as well there for trainer Whip Beckman has been training along solidly. I thought she put in a good effort in the fantasy. And of course, Lakara, a front-end threat there for Mark Cassie. She has been training like a rocket ship. Expect to see her be extremely strong here as well for the Cassie barn. Kentucky Derby, where do we fall? 20 horses, it's always a very pivotal time of the year. Everybody, even if you're in a restaurant, asks, what's your Kentucky Derby pick? Well, mine, guys, is none other than Burnham Square. And this colt is a plain big colt that just doesn't get tired. He doesn't have any physical attributes that really make him a standout, but that is all you need to do to win the Kentucky Derby, is be a colt that doesn't get tired. I think that's exactly what he's going to do with trainer Brian Hernandez Jr. aboard, and I think that he was the difference maker for Mystic Dan last year as far as the trip was concerned. This colt has been the standout for me as far as his works, as far as what he's looked like in the morning, as far as how he's been training out of that Toyota Bluegrass. I thought that I was going to be against him a little bit because of that effort and because I didn't quite love his Fountain of Youth, but he has come back a different animal, and I think he's going to be extremely competitive come Saturday, especially given the trip that I know his pilot will be able to deliver on him. But I also wanted to follow up with the Godolphin Contender and Sovereignty at morning line 5-1. That's going to be extremely competitive. I think he looks the picture for a trainer in Bill Mott that I don't think could be any more confident in him. And Journalism, he's the favorite, very similar to Good Cheer, does not have any holes to poke. He's been training exquisitely for Mike McCarthy, and similar to Good Cheer, he's undefeated at the route. I think that he's going to be extremely competitive, and he is obviously the horse to beat. And Grande and Publisher, they're both long shots. I thought Grande was a horse with upside coming off of a very strong thoroughgraph, and Publisher there, the maiden for his maiden trainer, is going to be extremely competitive there as well. So that rounds out my top 5 for the Kentucky Derby, folks, and the Kentucky Oaks. We will see how we fare this coming weekend, and guys, I'm interested to see your thoughts as well.
Well, thanks, Megan. And I mentioned the journeys on the backstretch and getting that sound for the show as well. Great job to you, not only on the morning work show, but on the simulcast. As we take a look at the people here that are gathering, again, not only down by the racetrack, but also down at the Downs up on the 4th floor here at Churchill Downs. And everybody, if you don't already, probably a good idea to sign up for a Twin Spires account and take advantage of all they have to offer. Fast, safe, easy to use. The money back offer, one of the great promotions they have. This has been a Kentucky Derby tradition. It started on opening night. If you bet a horse to win after opting in and they run second or third, you get up to $10 back. Make sure you opt in, take advantage of this offer all the way through Kentucky Derby Day. Big into the tournament scene over the course of maybe the last year. Tournaments at all levels, all different racetracks, whether they are feeders, qualifiers, or Kevin Kilroy, the big dance. And I know you love your job here at Churchill Downs, but I think that you would be chomping at the bit to participate in this. $250,000. We are not eligible with all the great prizes that are on the line. This is the kind of tournament that gets the juices flowing.
Yeah, if you're already planning on bringing a fat bankroll to the Derby, you might as well participate in this, because that $250,000 just adds more value to all of your opinions. So you line them up, you knock them down. If you have the day that you're expecting to have, as we all expect to have when we step to the plate for a race day, then you're going to get big rewards from Twin Spires for this KDBC.
Couple of feeders still coming up on May 1st and 2nd. You can earn your way in. Otherwise, that's a $5,000 buy-in for the Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge. Let's send it to James Scully on the fourth floor. Final thoughts, James, checking off the days, getting closer to Oaks and Derby Day. We saw the Japanese with their breezes this morning.
Yeah, I thought they both went solid. If you like them coming into this week, there's nothing they've done, I think, to dissuade you. I'll mention in Oaksville, I did think Ballerina Dioro caught my eye. Megan picked her second. I'm intrigued by her. And Burnham Square, I mean, just that energy and that gallop out around the track was something to see. But got 2 more mornings left of the work show. Excited to keep on trying to formulate some handicapping opinions, guys. Let's go to Megan on the backstretch for her final thoughts.
Well, it is bittersweet. It's my final morning here on the backside of Churchill Downs, but I will be in the paddock reporting throughout the week, so be sure to tune into that. But I just want to say thank you, not only to the team at Churchill Downs for allowing me to come in and join for this spectacular production. Everybody works so hard, but thank you to the horsemen and the horses. I'm this new girl, new face, and they have been so kind and opening in the barn to let me come in and talk about these horses, so thank you so much for that. But I do want to say this. I've watched the Kentucky Derby since I was a little girl, from very teeny tiny town in South Texas. So it's just a surreal experience to be able to be here and live out this dream. And I implore you, if you're a fan of horse racing, if you have a passion of any kind, take that chance, take that risk, get involved, because you never know, guys. It might just change your life. And I just appreciate everybody for supporting me on this journey and couldn't be more thankful for the chance to be out here.
Thanks, Megan. Extremely well said, Kevin. And, we can relate to that. My first year here was 2015 when American Pharoah won the Triple Crown. I've been involved in horse racing since I got out of college from a professional perspective. But, we are the TV people at Churchill Downs. We get to go through the lead up to the Kentucky Derby every year. And we're short on sleep. We've got a lot going on. We lose our cell phones occasionally, but it's all worth it in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, everybody horse racing works their butt off every day and every week, so they're here and they're doing it, and we're just a part of that for sure. But yeah, Meg did a great job. I thought Luxor Cafe did a fantastic job. I really liked that move. The visual impression that he's made on me in his races is something even more that I think the figure can speak to. I think he's sitting in a good spot. I think he's ready for his race.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he impressed me. And Megan and I might have the same 2 picks for the Oaks and Derby. I love Quiet Side. I love Burnham Square as well. Finalizing those selections over the course of the next couple of days. My final day on the workout show will be on Thursday. Kevin Kilroy, Tony Kalo in the driver's seats here on the set tomorrow, along with Caitlin Free and James Scully. Rosie Napravnik returns on Thursday to give her final thoughts here on the Kentucky Derby morning workout show. Just 2 more to go. Tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Don't forget about live racing. It is 5:00 Tuesday at Churchill Downs for the first post of 12:45. Good day.